Kat and Lucas had made contact with some of the leaders of the Mao and Yggdrasil's army, and were offered the chance to join them, though both of them had decided it best not to join up with a side just yet, and chosen to head back to the guild, riding on Trailmon Buffalo and Trailmon Angler to get back to Crystal Town to collect their pay before going back to the house. It was Kat that spoke up first, saying that she and Tinkermon had met a couple of the leaders of the Mao armies while doing the mission, but that they didn't really seem to be the bad guys in the situation. Lucas then spoke up, saying that he'd met up with a leader of the Yggdrasil army, and he didn't seem all that bad either, though he also adds that Gankumon said that the Mao are the ones that broke the peace by trespassing into the Knight's territory. Kat tells Lucas that BL Starmon said that the Knight were the ones who started the war, not them. Nicole was sitting listening to the two of them speaking while appearing as though he was lost in thought and considering the information that his two friends were telling him. Kuzuhamon then asked what he was thinking about exactly, getting his attention, making Nicole look up at the group. Nicole then explained that he was just thinking maybe the two of them should go join up with the sides. This confused them as to why, since they were fighting both sides, and he continued to explain that they could find out way more information that way, and they could pass on whatever they learned to him as he continued to research what actually happened to cause the peace to be disrupted, and maybe they could find out how it started truly and how to end it. Gizamon asked how exactly that would help anything, and Lucas stated that if they could find out how the peace ended, maybe they could discover a way to regain the peace that was lost, making the three-legged frog-like Digimon nod in understanding now. That did sound like a good idea, and Lucas said that he was in for the plan to help find a way to return peace to the digital world. Kat said she was in too. If it means getting the fighting to stop, then she's all for it. Nodding, Nicole told them to get into contact with those they met from the two sides and set up a meeting point. They'll need to go with them for extended time. He'll continue to do job for the guild while they handled things there and gathered information. Anytime they find something useful, message him. Nodding, the two then went to prepare and contact their new friends in the Mao and Yggdrasil armies respectively. Meanwhile, Nicole was coming up with a few plans of his own. This would be an interesting turn of events, and he'd needed to go and speak with the mayor for a bit. Getting up and stretching, he went to go speak with the Mayor Baluchimon in their office to see if whatever he was planning was possible. Mayor Baluchimon then greeted Nicole and asked what he could do for the Digidestined. Our main Digidestined then stated that he'd been setting a plan into motion to hopefully end the war between the two armies, but he needed their help to do so. The mayor then said that they weren't one for joining armies and fighting and the like. Nicole then apologized for not being clearer, saying that what he needed was not combat related. They didn't even have to leave town for what he needed. Mayor Baluchimon then asked what it was they needed if it wasn't fighting related, to which Nicole then answered back that he needed someone to look after the house when the Digidestined were away. After explaining that missions seemed to take longer than they had thought they would, and so he asked if they could just look after the house while they were away. This the mayor could do, saying that he would be happy to look after their house and make sure that the Digidestined had a place to come back to when they needed to. After thanking the mayor, Nicole then headed back to the house, explaining that the mayor would make sure the Digidestined had a place to come back to if they vanished for a long while or not. The others then nodded and were prepping to head on out, asking what Nicole would be doing besides just waiting for more information. Nicole then explained that he was going to continue to do jobs, but with the mayor looking after the house, he could take jobs that will require him to go further away from the city. This means he could take more expensive jobs, since he wouldn't need to worry about the place constantly, thankfully. Kuzuhamon then asked what job he was going to take next. Nicole said that he did have a job in mind and showed them the mission at Primary Village, explaining that this is where baby Digimon are born before being taken out to their families. It was a good idea to look in on this place and to protect it and the future generations there. Kuzuhamon asked if she could go along because she was friends with the caretakers there and it would be nice to see them again. Nodding, our main Digidestin told her that she was always welcome to come along whenever she wants, then turned his attention to the others, going on to say that they'll have supper here tonight and then the next morning they'll go into town to grab breakfast on the go. That way they don't waste any more time and the others have time to prepare for their roles as well.